This episode of Brains on Games will preview a set collecting game where you can steal your opponent's sets. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald, and this episode we're going to talk about a set collecting game about animals where there's some take that mechanics that are added to this game that make it interesting and silly. And we found it quite fun. Spoiler alert, we had a good time playing this one. It's a game called Herdvana. So this was sent to me very recently, and it's coming up on crowdfunding very soon. Herdvana is a game that you can play with between 2 and 10 players. It works with kids aged 8 and up, and games last between half an hour to an hour. Let's take a deeper look at Herdvana. Herdvana is a light set collector where what you're trying to do is earn points by collecting sets of these animals. It does get interesting though, because there are a total of 8 of these animal cards of each animal in the deck, and once you've collected all 8, you achieve Herdvana, and your herd turns sideways. You'll earn 10 extra points at the end of the game, and no one can steal your herd. No one can steal your herd once Herdvana has been achieved at the end of that turn, where you've got all 8. So it's a set collecting game. You're going to have 6 cards in your hand, and then you're going to try and create sets of these animals, horses or bison or cows or chickens, you name it. There are a number of different animals in here. Then you've got a couple of extra cards that make this game a little more interesting. You've got farmers that protect your herds and aliens that abduct the farmers. Another interesting thing about it is that those special cards, whether they're aliens or farmers, or even the chameleons, which are like wild cards, they're all named. So all the special cards have names just to make it a little more fun, and there's unique artwork for each one of those. Players are going to have, like I said, a 6-card hand. Everybody gets a little cheat sheet that will tell them what they can do on their turn. And what are you doing? You're starting a herd potentially, and that means taking 2 or more cards from your hand that match 2 horses or 3 cows or what have you, and putting those face up in front of you. Now, you could also, once you've got a few herds started in front of you, if I've got 3 cows in front of me and I get a 4th one in my hand, then I can play another cow and grow the herd instead of creating one. Now, you could start a second pile of cows if you wanted to, but because the piles there's no way for them to merge together once 2 separate piles have been started, you won't be able to get those 10 bonus points for having all 8 of those animals in the same herd. So you can start a herd or add to a herd, but the take that element starts to come in because you can also steal a herd from an opponent. If you've got in front of you in your little field, you've got 3 cows and I get a 4th cow card, I can play that and steal that herd from you. But you can defend. If you have another cow in your hand, you could show that card, and then you get to steal the card that I was using to try and steal your herd, and that just adds to the cows that are in front of you. You might even be able to achieve Herdvana in that way. Now, say I had 2 cows. I show one and then you show another one to defend yourself. If I have another cow card, it can keep going back and forth in kind of an arms race. And like I said, the chameleons are wild cards, so there's only a few of those in the deck, but you might have one of those you can use to steal or defend your herd from being stolen. If you play a farmer on top of a herd, you can't add to that herd anymore. You can't put any extra cards, but this protects your herd from being stolen. So the farmers cover those things up, and they're worth 10 points. So if I put a farmer on top of my herd, nobody's going to be able to take it unless they play an alien card. Now, the aliens are worth nothing, but they abduct the farmer from the top. You can have multiple farmers on top of a stack. If you collect, say, some bison, which are worth 4 points each, if I've got 3 or 4 of those in front of me, I might put 2 or 3 farmers on top of that to make sure that nobody can take it from me. But each alien will allow an opponent to abduct one of those farmers from the top of their opponent's herd. So you can start a herd or grow a herd or steal a herd. You can add a farmer or abduct an opponent's farmer with an alien. You can draw the top card on the discard pile into your hand. You can discard a card if there's really nothing that you can do. And then at the end of your turn, you draw back up. Everybody draws back up to make sure that everyone has their 6 card hand, and then play continues. You just keep going around the circle, taking that one action and then moving on to the next thing. The game is going to end once everybody's played all of their cards and there's no cards left to draw. You can see there's a great big stack of cards here in the deck, and then everyone starts counting up their points. Now you don't just get, so you can see here that there's 3 points for the horse, but you get 3 points for each horse. So it's not just every stack of horses you get 3 points. You get 3 points for each horse in the stack. So the bigger the herd is, the more points you're going to get. If you have managed to achieve Herdvana and turn your herd sideways so that nobody could steal it, well, you're going to get an extra 10 points each time that happened. And then everybody's just adding up their points at the end to figure out who has the most points, and that player is going to be the winner of Herdvana. There's a variation of the game where you can play, well, like I said, you can play up to 10 players, but you could play in teams if you wanted to do it that way. And then I could defend my teammate's herd if somebody tries to attack it. I could play a farmer maybe on top of their herd as well. So you can play teams together and work together with a teammate, or you can play just in a crazy free-for-all. So there's some variations there. And that brings us to the skills that you're practicing when you're playing a game like Herdvana. I mean, really, one of the things that does come up is that you are doing some evaluating in terms of the probability that you're going to be able to successfully steal a herd, or should I play this herd in front of me right now, or should I wait? Should I discard and wait for a later turn so that nobody gets a chance to steal it because I only have 2 of those cards, but maybe I need to play it so I can draw more cards. So you're doing that probability. How many cards are in the deck? How many cards are out in front of the other players of, how many cows, for example, are you seeing? So if I've got 2 cows in my hand and there's a stack of 3 cows in front of the other player, well, that's a total of 5. That means there's only 3 other cows around that could allow someone to steal that herd. Are you going to have time to protect the herd once you've stolen it? Will you get it? Will it come back around to you so that you can play a farmer on top? So there's some probability, as there would be in any set collecting card game. There is also some mental math. I know one of the younger opponents that I played against, they didn't do that math mentally. They pulled out their phone and added things up on the calculator on their phone instead, just to make sure that they didn't make any mistakes. But if I've got 5 3-point horses, well, that's going to be 15 points for me, plus a farmer on top is 25. And then you're adding all of that stuff up at the end of the game to figure out who has the most points and who's going to win. Final thoughts, though, about Herdvana. Well, we did have a lot of fun playing this game. It's simple. There's not, it's not too complicated to explain or understand, but the take that elements were light enough that it was still a lot of fun. If you've watched enough episodes of this show, take that is not my favorite mechanism, but I'm going to steal your herd, and then they play another card to prevent you from stealing. That was, it was silly and fun and quick. And the artwork is a lot of fun. I mean, you can see on these cards, the artwork is fantastic. I love that the special cards have unique art and they all have their individual names, and there might be certain farmers or certain aliens that you really like more than the others. If there is a downside to a game like Herdvana, it's that, well, there's only so many of these animal cards in the deck, and maybe having more additional herds would I just like the artwork, so I want to see more pictures, more drawings from this artist, because I do think it was a lot of fun. So I don't have anything negative to say about Herdvana. I mean, if you like those set collecting games with just a little bit of kind of silly light take that, this game would be right up your alley. I would put it up there with, games like Exploding Kittens and things where you've got the fun artwork and you're just kind of drawing those cards and you're trying to mess with the other players. We had a good time playing Herdvana, and thanks so much to the designer for sending this game my way. I will include information about the crowdfunding campaign in the show notes below the video. If you have any comments or questions about Herdvana or any of the other games, suggestions about Brains on Games, you can leave them in the comment section below this video, or you can email me at Brian at brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go. The previous ones are up there already. Brains on Games is the Twitter handle and the Facebook page and the Instagram feed, so we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.